and welcome to this live, TikTok live, few days after Akwatia by-elections. It's good to be back, to be with you, to explain to you what happened in Akwatia and why we must use science and not booga or voodoo in elections going forward. And I'm glad people are beginning to appreciate the importance of science in elections. It sometimes saddens me, especially when we have political science department or political scientists taking our brothers and sisters through political science lectures, and without exposing them to the science of politics and indeed opinion polling. There is nowhere in the world that you do a degree in political science without being exposed extensively to political opinion polls and its usefulness and how it can be used to your advantage. And data does not lie. Data never lies. And the reason why we sample a good number of people is that even if few people are lying to you, those lying to you will not result in you getting it entirely wrong. And indeed, it's for those kind of things that we have the margin of error. So it's, the results could be 54%, plus or minus 2 or 3%. It's to allow for those kind of mishaps in the data collection that you have done. But it's always important to follow the data, even if it goes against your feelings. Now, let's look at Akwatia, and I've been emphasizing this all the time, and I'll talk about that even here. Demography. In fact, there are people who study demography. They study demography of a population, gender, age, education, ethnicity, religion, and how those things impact on certain things that happens in the country, either politically or socioeconomics. And when you lose sight of using demographic analysis in making decisions, you will lead to regret it. Look, Akwatia, demography takes sometimes 10 years to change. So for example, in Akwatia, in 2016, there were a lot more people who have junior high and no education in Akwatia in 2016. And that demography suited Amase. So they elected Amase as their MP at the time, because the demography of the day suited Amase. Fast forward till today, almost 10 years since 2016. What has changed in Akwatia? Did the political parties realize that something has changed in Akwatia? I think NPP were asleep, because if you look at current structure of Akwatia population and indeed its voters, 62% of them have senior high qualification and tertiary level qualification, post-university and or university. That is a big change from what it was in 2016 when Amase was elected. Would Amase win election in Akwatia today? I can tell you no, because the demography has changed. And also in 2016, most of the jobs in Akwatia were mining jobs and farming jobs. Fast forward to today. If the population is now highly educated, senior high and tertiary, you wouldn't expect the same workforce structure in Akwatia. I'll come back to that. So if you look at what has happened, the people with senior high and tertiary, they look for different kind of jobs, service sector jobs, the financial services, the telecom. That is the job these guys normally want to find themselves in. Whereas the junior high school and no education find themselves in the mining, the Galamsey. So when NPP was selecting a candidate, they forgot all this that is happening in Akwatia in the last 10 years. And thinking that when they pick a candidate like Esumedu, he reflects the population of Akwatia. No, he didn't. Akwatia has changed. NPP didn't realize that. So if you look at those with senior high qualification, they mostly voted for the lawyer. So in your strategy, don't lose sight of the demographic data. So NPP wasn't smart there. They didn't look at the data. They didn't look at anything. They picked a miner, thinking that Akwatia is a mining town, so it's miners who are looking at. No. In fact, according to published statistics from Ghana Services, they said most of the job in Akwatia, it is service sector and agriculture, not mining jobs. Put that aside. Then you come to what? The campaign message. The NDC found an opportunity to use development project as a campaign message. The NPP couldn't counter that. They couldn't find a message to resonate well with the people who were looking for development, who were yearning for development, because this is not a general election. This is a local election that we've already known the outcome of the president, who is the president. So what they want to do is to get somebody who can give them as much as they can as a constituency before the next election. And with all sincerity, it was bound to go to the ruling party's candidate, but he or they are the ones who can bring meaningful development in the area. So that was also a message that MPP couldn't fight back. They took the fight for granted. And look, if you have an election where you won with just 2,000, that 2,000 would not exist at this point in time, because the government is very popular, and the goodwill of the government could even wipe that 2,000 away. So you need a stronger candidate who could have something in common with the deceased candidate, who could reflect what the deceased candidate was, and then be able to say that we want to replace a good lawyer with another good candidate, or a good MP with another good candidate. They didn't see that in Esumedu. He wasn't a politician. He couldn't communicate very well. He couldn't connect very well. Somebody's asking, why is it that people with senior high don't necessarily support NPP? It's two things. You see, the support for senior high is much higher among the parents who enjoy the financial benefit of the senior high education. But those who actually went to the senior high, they knew what they got. And they're not really appreciative of what they saw. Their experience there wasn't very good. So the parents are happy, but the actual beneficiaries of the senior high are not. And their anger takes them to the next level, which is the tertiary. So when you do a poll with the people who have finished senior high in the first 2 years of university, MPP doesn't do well. they allow the challenges of the free education to linger on for too long. So those who experienced it are not happy with it. But the parents are obviously happy because the financial side was free. If you look at the last election, the polls were saying that the top issues were economic, jobs, education. And Mahama was leading by a big margin on those who said the economy was their key issue, those who said job was key issue. But when it comes to education, the gap was closer. Even though Mahama was leading among those who said education is important to them or they value education, the gap was closer. It was closer because those people who were enjoying free education, there were two blocks. There were those who were happy with the cost saving, the free element, and there are those who are concerned about the quality. So you have a push and pull. One side is pushing for the free education, the other side was pulling it back. So in the end, the benefit that the free education was supposed to give NPP, it was cancelled out by those who were pulling it. So when you understand the data, everything makes sense. Nothing looks stupid. Everything makes sense. If you take those who cared about sympathy. Look, when you look at the age profile of those who want to vote based on sympathy, they are not the youth. They are the past. Those above 44 years of age and above. They are the ones who want to use sympathy to vote. The younger voters, the Gen Z generation, whatever you call them, they don't really have that heart for sympathy. They want results. They want something that they can touch, tangible things. And remember, those who are 44 and above are a very tiny part of the voting population. So you don't pivot your campaign on a number that does not merit you to dwell on it. Overall, just 4% of the respondents say sympathy. 4%. 4% say sympathy. And most of those who say sympathy were older people. So you should be able to understand data and move away from the older generation of voters into the younger generation of voters. So it is very, very important. Once you lose the sight of demography, the people who you want to appeal to, you are finished. You are finished. And it saddens me. Look, I've come across so many students of political science that after having their degrees are absolutely novice when it comes to politics, electioneering, and campaign strategy. Next week, I have been invited to one of the universities to mentor and provide supervision for people who are doing political communication and strategy. How on earth could you do political communication and strategy without data? How are they doing it? How are they doing it? You must communicate what people want to hear. You haven't found out what they want to hear. You assume that they want to hear this, and you want to use that assumption to go and design a communication plan and communication strategy. I mean, you are kidding. You are kidding. It appears, the whole political system needs reorientation. They need to be educated. They need to educate themselves. Maybe it's time to get some white man, because they probably trust more white men. Trust white men to come and open their eyes. And when you try to put data out, to try to wake them up, they think you are doing NDC's bidding. Who in NDC will pay money to me for me to come and show you your weaknesses that you can improve on? Who? It's very important. Look, I am doing this job not because of anything, but because I have a passion to educate people to do real politics, proper politics, a decent one that is backed by science. I wasn't trained statistician. No. I wasn't trained as a pure person for data. No. I am an accountant by profession. I'm a finance person. I'm an analyst. But I felt I could do this and do it better than what people have been doing. I'm not a statistician. I don't hold a PhD in statistics. No. But I understand data. I know how to read data. I know what it means when I see data. And I can read by analyzing other facts, other evidence in the data to reach a conclusion. Look, it takes a good data scientist to go against a data to make projections and get it right. You understand the pattern of behavior of certain demography. How do people of this demography behave over time? Once you understand that, look, you can read meaning into every data that you see. And we have done everything possible to put data out there free of charge to both NPP, NDC, PSC, whatever, and not just to them. There are certain companies, globally, that rely on the same information we are providing to NPP and NDC here to do their international analysis, to do investment advisory, the same data. So while NPP will insult me for what I put out there, companies like Fitch Solution, Barclays Capital, Goldman Sachs, using the same information NPP is using to insult me to advise their clients, global clients. But I'm sure maybe going forward, they will realize that they have to rely on data. They have to invest in data. They have to trust data. And look, research, a good research doesn't have to come from PhD and professors. No. Actually not. Because those people have somehow not well connected. TikTok and social media, and how that frames the narrative and shapes the thinking of the people. The comments you make on the platform quite insightful for me, but I don't understand. So when I'm talking, I'm able to bring quantitative and qualitative data together to make sense, to make meaning out of that. We have taken theories from the universities for too long. Theories. This theory. Look, there are many people in this country who have or who were taught what they call MRP model, multivariate post-classification analysis in sampling and whatever they call it. They've been taught for several years, but nobody saw the need to apply it practically here until we did that in the election 2024. We used the MRP model to project the 276 constituencies outcome, and we got less than 10 wrong of the 276 using an MRP model. What is MRP? MRP is to using standard data that you've collected over time, understanding the pattern and behavior of certain demography of certain people, and using grand data to extrapolate to know what will happen in Bantama by looking at a constituency that behaves like Bantama, that have the same profile like Bantama. then you cut down costs. But we couldn't go to every constituency 276. We couldn't go there. So the MRP model is a tool we used to be able to get the same predictions without spending money by going there in a big way. This is this is how we put theories into practice. And when we were posting our social media handle, MRP model, NDC 170, NPP, they were laughing at us. But let's be more scientific. Let's be more purposeful in the way we communicate and engage the voters. Look, every country needs a very viable opposition party, a very strong one. But sometimes what we see coming from MPP is really disheartening, and they are driving away voters. Before the elections, when I speak to average Ghanaian in the street, you have about 37% of them saying, "Oh, I am MPP openly." NDC 33%. So MPP had about 4 points advantage over NDC among those who openly say they are MPP or NDC. Today, MPP is 30%. NDC is 43%, 43%, and 42% NDC. And among those who have degrees, only 27% of them now openly say they are MPP. MPP used to be party of intellectuals. What has happened? NDC, 43%. Degree holders, they openly say they are now NDC. We have given data to you free of charge just to inform, educate, enlighten the way we cover elections. And in fact, look, the team that went to Akwatia was led by a doctor, Dr. Eugene Ahim, from University of Cape Coast. Eugene, not a doctor with PhD. He led the team to go to Akwatia. He deployed them. He supervised them. He went to the ground to make sure that people are doing the right thing. We don't sit in our office and conjure figures as some people think. We have over 500 people, volunteers across the country. 500 who volunteer for us in the field, whom we have trained over the years, whom we trust to be ethical, to be professional, to do what we tell them to do. And it's the effort of these people and their ethical behavior and values that enable us to trust what come out from the field. But if I don't trust you, you would not. I will not be able to say boldly that NDC is going to win. But if I doubt my data collectors, I won't stick my neck out. I trust them. And we have also given them the tools which is more sophisticated. Look, the tools we are using in polling is quite expensive. And it's a tool that has inbuilt AI. I can query my tool to tell my tool, say that, look, I have 11% who are saying they are undecided. Looking at their responses to other questions, tell me what is the likelihood that they will vote for NPP candidate or they will vote for NDC candidate. The tool is there. So when I'm doing prediction, it's by a very powerful system and a tool. I can look at the way people have answered certain questions. And when they say they are undecided, we can model and see how likely these guys will vote. Would they vote NPP or vote NDC? And that is what we use to conclude our final projections. We're not kidding here. Because the clients we really work for are not even Ghanaian companies. So we don't want to use election matters to spoil our name globally. So those who think that somebody is paying somebody, yes, we have clients who are paying us to do other job for them, to do other market research. But the one we do for politics, it is just our contribution to Mother Ghana, our social, or what we call corporate social responsibility, to give back to society what I think is worth giving back. And we can all agree that the way we cover elections in this country has dramatically changed. No more propaganda. I'm leading. If you are leading, give us figures. If you are leading, give us figures. And you see, we don't throw just one number out. We give you numbers plus demographic analysis, regional analysis, education analysis. So we go beyond this one line. Oh, we need by this. No. That's not good enough. In the past, that's what we have been exposed to. One line survey report. We don't see the regional analysis. In the last election, we gave you the regional breakdown of what is going to happen. And in all cases, they all happened. We said 6 months before the election that Baume was going to win only 3 regions. 3. 6 months before the elections. And everybody poo-poo us because we were not saying what people were used to. And somehow they think when they attack you, you coward yourself and you begin to know. Some of us, we've gone beyond that. We can't be cowarded. We've been to war zones to work before, so this noise will not change anything. Once we believe we are doing the right thing, we're not compromising on our ethics and values, and we're also training young men and women to take over from me. I don't want to leave this earth without having made any impact. There are people we are training, hopefully in the next year or 2. There will be people, men and women, who will stand before television and do what I'm doing, exactly what I'm doing. That's what I want to achieve. I want to leave a legacy. I want people to say that this is your impact. Some people fought for our independence. They died. I want to be seen as the one that revolutionized polling in this country. Moving it from secrecy to transparency, openness, availing ourselves for scrutiny. Yes. You know, and the work we do, the report we gather, the corporate organizations are using it. Do you think companies don't want to know who will win the next election? Don't you think people who finance political parties want to know which of the candidates has a great chance? They want to know. So the polling data is used by so many people, investors, even political investors, people who want to know, should I go and invest in Kennedy's campaign? Should I go invest in Bame's campaign? If I invest in Kennedy's campaign, what do we need to do? Having seen the data. If I'm putting my money in Bame campaign, what do we need to do? And above all, what are the chances of these 2 people in the next election itself? You want to know. So I think we've made an impact. Akwatia was something that was dear to myself. My mother came from Akwatia, so I'm from Akwatia. And we wanted to show that, look, there is science in everything we do. We gave everybody, NPP and NDC, all the performances in the various electoral areas so they could go and do homework there. Could you believe that no one in NPP came for additional data? No one. No one came. So, Mr. Dankwah, let's see your data in detail and see how we can best use it. There were 21 electoral areas. We only published, I think, 11 or 10. The remaining 11, we didn't put out in the report. NDC guys called and said, we want to see the entire data if you can give it to them. And we give it to them. NPP, Omamba, how do you win? How do you win? How do you win? The job was hard for NPP. In the poll we did before the election, NPP was leading in 12 electoral areas. 12. 1, 2, 3, 12. Out of what? Out of the 21. And NDC was leading in 9. At the end of the day, NPP managed to win only 7 electoral areas out of the 21. Only 7. I don't think it's ever happened in the history of Akwatia with the NPP before. They won only 7, and NDC won the rest of it. They didn't even know where to go. Last minute, Baumia went to Kusi. Kusi is a strong NPP area. And in the poll, Kusi was almost going NDC. And he went NDC. There were 5 or 6 electoral areas that the poll shows NPP was going to win. NDC flipped them. And some of them, I think 3 out of the 5 or so, that they flipped. They were flipped by the help of the Ghana Dangbays, Molly Dagbanis, and the others who were there in good numbers. But in 2 of them that were flipped, those places had 90-something% account population. So it was the same accounts who flipped against NPP. So the defeat came from their own. So something is not right in the NPP right now. And they have to be very honest and quickly finish their reorganization and let the party come together and see what they can do. They must also be very mindful of their communication on social media. The insults are too much. And when you do that, there are people who just come and look. It doesn't make the party attractive to them. It doesn't. With all sincerity. Look, and look, I'm a consultant, for that matter, an international one. In fact, next week Tuesday, I'm traveling somewhere outside Ghana to go and do consulting job. This job I'm doing, it takes my time and it brings me nothing. But it's the only job that I'm truly passionate about. I know I am touching life and I'm making an impact. The one I do for myself, it just makes me money. It doesn't give me happiness. And you do a lot of work with sincerity and honesty, and people just sit there and spew insult. But at least I think we have some time ahead of us. We will all learn. I'm very hopeful that with time they will begin to appreciate that we're not driven by money, we are driven by motivation. In terms of the odds, I can hear the cry of voice for the odds bets, for sporting bets. You see, sporting bets, it is not done through survey. Actually, you need a very powerful computer to do sports betting because it takes into account so many things. The players from the opponents, what teams do they play for? How regular do they play in their whatever matches? How fit are they? So you need a very powerful computer to be able to see the weakness in a team A or team B. And I can predict, we think with this team might be a stronger team, and if they are the stronger team, they may win. But you and I know that in football, a small mistake by somebody cannot be seen by the computer, and the guy will lose the match. So it's very difficult to be scientific when it comes to sport betting. Maybe what they do sometime in the UK, they do political betting as well. I don't have powerful computer to do better sports betting. I beg. If I go there and I mispredict, you guys will finish me. If I go and mispredict there, you will finish me on the street. Okay, somebody's asking about exit poll once again. If you watch CNN, CNBC, and the big network stations globally, after polls have closed in the US, they released exit poll. The exit poll is a survey you do on the very day the election was going on. At After you have finished voting from your polling station, you are engaged by somebody in the field, ask you, if you have a few minutes, I want to talk to you. They said, fine. You ask them, what do you think about the country? Are we heading in the right direction or wrong direction? Do you approve or disapprove the president? What is your top issue in Ghana today? Who did you vote for today? Why did you vote for that person today? And then your age, your gender, and some few questions. So when you finish that, then you analyze how they have voted by the way they told you, and see whether you can know who wins or who will win the election before the votes are actually counted. So you can see sometimes CNN projects this candidate will win this state. Sometimes by exit poll. Now, if it is too close to call, then they won't project. They will wait until they've counted a good number of votes, and then they use the exit polls, compare that to what has been counted and what is outstanding, and then do the projection. For the first time, we're able to understand why people voted the way they voted. In this country, there has never been anything like that before. Some institutions like CDD and others, they do some post-election service, maybe 2 years down the line. But then, now I can't some phone people. But when people are voting, you ask them. So the following day or the same very day, you have the data. So this is why this person was voting this person. If you look at those who voted for lawyer Beidou, 61% of people who said developmental project was their top issue voted for him. And for the same people who said developmental issue is important, he won among those with senior high. In fact, he won across all educational levels. They preferred him than the Summit. So that's what we mean by exit poll. And exit polls gives you a better idea if people are being truthful as who will win the election. Even maybe by 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, you will know. But ethically, we don't disclose it. Don't disclose it. So you don't disturb. But we're able to share the demographic, who has voted, how many of them were men, women, what is their age profile. Those ones, we can share those information, as I did on the election an hour before the poll closed. I was sharing the data of people who have voted, their age groups, their religion, their ethnic groups, and so on and so forth. And you can do this for every electoral area. And we're able to also know that among those who voted for a bid, included 16% who in the last election cast their vote for Kumi. So people abandoned the NPP candidate. They didn't like him. Yes, our data collectors are not the same as those who work for the Ghana Statistical Service Department. We use students, some teachers, some nurses who are local in the area. And then when the job comes, we tell them we are going to this community, then they go and do the collection for us. We pay them, and then they continue doing their own work. Because instead of full-time job, we can give to them. So they are volunteers who make themselves available for training and then to be used in the future whenever there is any work. Whether we are doing public opinion poll or private commercial survey or research, we use them. Do you think MB stand a chance in 2028? To be very honest with you, the numbers so far doesn't look great. But I won't put much, I won't say much today, because in October, we are starting the September survey, what we call the National Tracking Poll, 3rd week of September, and we'll finish 1st week of October. So in that survey, we are putting the 4 top NDC candidates at forcing Haruna Idrisu, Julius Debra, and Mosquito. We are putting them head-to-head against Honorable Kennedy Japan and then Dr. Baumia. Any person in either NPP and NDC who is getting at least 10% of the national vote, we would put them as head-to-head. So we can see which of them has a better chance in the 2028 election. At the moment, I don't have data. I don't want to speculate that it's going to be this person or that person. But I believe when the poll comes out, we will all see which of the candidates has the best chance. What should be used is that the delegates must look at the one with the better chance. You see, the work we are doing is also to inform your delegates. That delegates, Munti, Munpon, Marching as you know, saying it here, into wine or Bono Homodi against a sitting Kitia. If a sitting is the candidate. Wine or Bono Homodi against Atifosi. Wine or Bono Homodi against Haruna. Wine or Bono Homodi against Debra. Sometimes the person doesn't have to win. But if for the 2023 elections, now we were doing Baumia against Mahama. In fact, before Mahama was elected, we were doing Baumia against Dufo, Baumia against Mahama. Then we do Mahama against Kennedy, Dufo against Kennedy. Then we did Alan Martin against Mahama, Kennedy against Alan Martin against Dufo. We did all that scenario, and when Dufo lost the election, they would drop his name, and we continue with Mahama against the potential NPP candidates until NPP elected one person, and the rest was then Mahama versus Baumia. So at every point in time in polling that we did from 2022 to 2023, we were doing that scenario. And to be very honest with you, when Alan was in the race, Alan was doing 2% better than Baumia. That is a fact. The poll numbers are there. And when Kennedy jumped in the race around October or so, Kennedy was doing 1 or 2% better than Baumia against Mahama. It was there. We've mentioned that. And those performance Alan and Kennedy was doing, were putting up, were because of certain demographic behavior did not affect them negatively, as it did negatively for Baumia. Those are facts. So, yes, you should know who is the best to beat the other. And that's what delegates must use. Don't vote because you're a delegate. You will choose what you want to choose. But at the end of the day, that person would come to the country. And he will seek the vote of Ghanaians. That is where you will know that you've picked the wrong person or you have picked the right person. So make sure that you are picking the right person based on data, informed decision. Sometimes you vote for what you don't like, because what you don't like is what can give you the winner or the winning chance. Don't always go for what you think. Look at the data. Look at the data. So, we have a lot to learn. We're going to be here to assist. If you have questions, we'll be able to answer you. And those who sometimes call and ask for jobs, we don't actually recruit right now. We're not recruiting right now. And also, this job is very delicate. So we tend to rely on network of people we know already. Because we don't want anybody to come and infiltrate and give you a bad data. Then your post will start getting your posts and predictions wrong because data is not correct. So we use kind of networking to recruit. Very rarely do we recruit on social media people we don't know or our people don't know. So we rely on people who believe and share some values to look for people who are similar to them. The Tesco model. So we will minimize the mistakes we do when we are recruiting. So it's very delicate. We don't want to open it up for all sort of people to come and join and destroy the quality of the work. So we are very careful. We are very, very careful. Unfortunately, we will not be able to provide people job. But we tend to do internship for students. This year, we have our 4 students from various universities doing internship with us. We can only have offer place for 4 people for this year. Next year, if we have expanded, we will see whether we can add more to it. But we have 4 people doing internship with us, and we hope look, we've put them there several times. None of them is doing very well. So we are also very mindful of time in the field. If you put so many people in the field and they are not doing anything, you're just wasting your time in the field. And the more time we waste in the field, it costs us money. Because if you are doing an interview, and the interview takes 5 minutes, we pay our people, let's say, 10 cedis. If the interview goes on for say, 10 minutes, we have to up how much we pay them. So we are adding a list of people that are not showing anywhere. So we also have to be very balanced in what we do. Look, let me tell you one thing. If we are not in frontline politics in Ghana today, we will not lead any party. Anybody sitting behind thinking he will come and lead, it doesn't happen like that. Not now. We haven't started doing the national election yet, but subsequently, when we start head-to-head, I think we will have some idea. But for now, we're not doing the general election for every candidate. We're just focusing on the key people, Baumia and potentially Kennedy against potential NDC candidate. Maybe I may put Alan. I don't know what I'm going to put Alan and Bediaku there as, and the rest will be others. Though at least they have some numbers that they gathered last time. I can use that as a basis to discriminate. Otherwise, as an Erica will call you that he hasn't seen his name, everybody will start calling you. And I don't want to have. No, nobody can predict 2020 election. Now, no, but you can see where we are headed. You can't predict the outcome, but you can look at what the dynamics, what will happen, and if that happens, what will be the outcome. But from October, you'll begin to see what Ghanaians think, who should lead the country in 2028. Yes, I think the NDC or NPP were flipped in the country areas, but they didn't like the candidate. Yes, they flipped. And let me look at those areas. Let me see. Areas NDC flip. Yawasu is one. Sechikrum is one. I think Saddam's too is one. Okumanim ARS one. And then Amiasu Adai Krum. Yes. MPP were leading, but they lost. In Okumanim ARS, MPP were leading and they lost. Saddam's, they were leading and they lost. Sechikrum, they were leading and they lost. And in Yawasu, they were leading and they lost. These are all Akan areas without significant minority groups. And that is what happened on the ground. And where NDC was winning, they were winning with 70%, 70s, mid-70s. And when NPP wins, fiabi. So, they should do an introspection and hopefully they can find some answers. Okay, I think the time is up for me, and thank you very much. If you are a content creator, you want to host me, if you have a good followers, I'm cool. I'm keen to join people's program where it's well organized, well done, well moderated, and intended to educate people. I think about Arun Idrisu. We'll come to NDC race subsequently. For now, let's focus on Akwatia and Mana issues. But the NDC race is going to be very interesting. We may be in for some shocks, but let's wait and see down the line. But it's very important that any candidate must look at the demography of Ghanaian voters, what they want. Will Ghanaians vote for Haruna Idrisu? Will Ghanaians vote for Asidin Ketia? Will Ghanaians vote for Atuvosin? Will they vote for Julius Debra? Or will somebody else? Look at the demography of the country. The country is young. And let that sink in. On that note, I will say thank you very much for joining and have a very blessed evening. And I hope to see you again. As you can see, my content is not pro NPP or pro NDC. It's pro you education. The political class must open their mind, learn from data, use that data to help themselves. Those who use data got the election right. NDC was losing, but they turned the race upside down and they won it. with data that we give everyone free of charge. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.